Hey, everybody, what is going on? This is your man, Big B, Brian Hanley. Welcome back to Steelers Almighty. I appreciate everybody being in here, ladies and gentlemen. Look, it was a good weekend, a good kind of restart weekend for me, Steeler fans in general. Still a lot of stuff going on. We have got a good show for you guys here today, man. First thing, what are some of the Steelers' options at wide receiver 3? Still some things out there that we have got to look at as far as wide receiver 3 with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is it the draft? Do we have current options? What about a trade? We'll talk about that. Then, the Steeler moves right now, ladies and gentlemen, scream win now. We have heard Art Rooney II tell us, he said it at the press conference when Mike Tomlin, resigned. He said it when they hired Mike McCarthy. That hire tells you that they are not looking to rebuild. And Steeler fans, it seems they're trying to force a rebuild on something that the owner and the organization is not wanting to do. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And then right now, ladies and gentlemen, most mock drafts that you go and you see, it looks like the Steelers are taking Pregnon and not Vega at number 21. Not because they don't want Vega, but for another reason. We will discuss all that and more. So appreciate everybody being in here. Torsha is in here talking about glad they signed Hoffman. Yes, they finally got Hoffman. Lord. I mean, what was it, like 3 weeks late after they initially reported it? So, yeah, they needed it. And we'll talk about that signing and more. We got all of our people. I shouldn't say all of our people, but a lot of our people in here. What's going on? Mr. Scrap Metal in the house. Our members are in here. Mr. Daniel Hall, how you doing, man? What is going on? Fading Velocity is in the house. Again, if you guys want your comment, question, or rant up on the screen, you know how to do that. Super chats are wide open and available, so we appreciate that. If you want to help support the channel that way, Steeler Lee is in the house. If you happen to be a member, members always get their comments, questions, or rants up on the screen. So we appreciate that. Thank you very much for supporting the channel that way. Look, it is going to be a whirlwind getting down to the nitty-gritty when it's time for the Steelers to start drafting. This draft and the rest of free agency, it's going to be wild. And when I say wild, it's just going to be unpredictable. I don't think there's going to be, a bunch of chaos or anything going on. I just think it's going to be unpredictable. So that's my thought. What's going on, Fresh West? Fresh West is in the house. We appreciate it. So good morning, everybody. Appreciate everybody being in here and getting up. Like I said, sometimes it's good to just take a moment to reflect on the weekend, let things, when there's not a ton going on, there's always something going on, but when there's not a ton going on, sometimes you got to take a breath. And I think that's collectively as Steeler fans, everybody just said, okay, let's take a breath this weekend. But now it's starting back up. We are back, and the Steelers got to keep moving. This draft prep, we got a month until the draft. Free agency is still out there. Still a lot of speculation, but let's get into this. Let's get into this, people. So first things first, wide receiver 3. We heard Mike McCarthy at his initial press conference talk about the wide receiver position, basically matchups in this league, and getting your third wide receiver on a third cornerback and being able to exploit that matchup. He talked about it in the initial press conference. Well, I'm just telling you, people, if a head coach at his initial press conference, not like leading up to a season or during a game or after a game, in his initial press conference, if he's talking about those specific matchups, that's very important to him. And that's very important to the offense that he is trying to run. He talked about it. So, like I've said so many times, when people say things, sometimes you should just listen and believe them. Mike McCarthy is that guy. His offense has always been that way. So the Steelers got to figure out what they're going to do at wide receiver number 3. So my thing is that at the position, do we have it currently on the roster? So first off, I'll say Ben Skoranek is not your wide receiver number 3. I think Ben Skoranek's going to be on the roster. Don't get me wrong. But if he's your third wide receiver, your wide receiver core is in trouble. We've seen what that looks like with the Steelers over the last several years. Enough. Enough of struggling and just putting out the bare minimum at the wide receiver position. Why do we have to do that? Like, what's the point in just putting out the bare minimum? I think it's ridiculous, to be quite honest with you. But so I don't think the Steelers are going to do that. Then when you look at who else we have besides Ben Skoranek, now there's Roman Wilson. Now, there's been a lot of talk about Roman Wilson over the last couple of years. First of all, his rookie year was basically a wash. Just a waste, not a wasted year, I guess, but definitely a redshirt year. Got hurt twice. Mike Tomlin said publicly they were moving on without him, which means he was disgusted with him, And so this first year, we got 5 snaps of offense from him. So nothing, okay? Then last year, he struggles early in preseason. Aaron Rodgers calls him out and basically says, you got to start just playing and stop trying to appease me and go play football. Makes a 180. Starts playing good football. Get to the season. Doesn't get a ton of opportunities, but he got some. Makes a play against the Indianapolis Colts near the end of the game, tries to jump over a guy, fumbles, lets the Colts get back into the game. And basically from then on, the Steelers just said, nope, this ain't the guy. Whether it was Mike Tomlin, Arthur Smith, Aaron Rodgers, whatever the case may be, they did not trust Roman Wilson on that football field. And it wasn't that they didn't throw him the football. They didn't even, what was it? For the last 5 weeks, he didn't even get a helmet, ladies and gentlemen. Guys like Adam Thielen, MVS, got added to the football team. Roman Wilson didn't even suit up. So I don't know. Yeah, it was. If this is the guy, and a lot of people have said this, they want to see what Roman Wilson can do in an offense, in a real, should I say, a modern day offense. Can he be a slot guy? A lot of people thought he's a slot receiver. Now, I've heard some people talk about, well, his route running really isn't that good. Is that his route running, he gets open late after the quarterback's ready to throw, and that some of the stuff that they did at Michigan kind of threw him open or motioned him to get open. Well, my thought is, can't you do that in the National Football League? If you need this guy to get open and you think he can get open if you use motion with him, why not just do that? Why not use, whatever the guy's strengths are, use them. Don't just say, well, the only way that he can get open is if you run motion and you use motion to get him open. But he can get open if you do that, but we're not going to do that. Well, my whole thought is if he's on your football team and you know that he does this well, allow him to do that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Does it mean that he's one of the best route runners that are out there? No, it doesn't. But I am over the whole ego coaching thing that Arthur Smith had, and a lot of coaches, it's not just him, that a lot of coaches have, saying, well, we're only going to do it my way no matter what. I know this guy can do this, but that's not the way I want to do it. Since it's not the way I want to do it, then we're not going to do it. We're not going to use this guy to the best of his ability. I'm over that nonsense. The problem is a lot of coaches are not over that nonsense. We'll see what Mike McCarthy does. I don't think Roman Wilson's going to get cut. I think Roman Wilson might be, they may trade him, but he's not going to get cut because I think he has talent in this league. I think he can do things in this league, but I could be wrong. Maybe he just does it. I don't know. But I think because I don't think that the Steelers the last 2 years even remotely tried to put him in a position where he could succeed to what he does well. I don't even think they tried to do that. Maybe this coaching staff will. Maybe they'll say, you know what? If we line him up in the slot all the time and we use him in motion and we do these certain things, we run short, shallow crosses or deep crossers or whatever it might be. If we do that, then Roman Wilson has a chance. Maybe this coaching staff will look at it that way. I'm hoping they do. That's what I want. But if not, and he can't play, okay, we'll find that out. But I just think that you drafted a guy in the third round. I think you owe it to yourself as an organization to say, well, we drafted this guy in the third round. We at least got to give him a chance to do what he does well. Having said that, the counterpart to that is, no, we don't, Big B. This coaching staff didn't draft him. Because if we were the coaching staff, he would never be on our football team. We wouldn't have taken him. We know what he does and doesn't do well. That doesn't fit what we want to do. Sorry. There's that side of it too, man. And to be honest, I know it sounds like I'm straddling the fence, but I'm not. Either way is fine, because if you don't think that he can do what you want to do, and no matter what, like, hey, man, he just can't. He doesn't have it. We don't believe that he has it. Okay, I can't fight you on that. But if there's the other side that says, you know, he really wasn't given a real chance, and, you know, based on what we want to do with this offense, he can fit. There's a place for him. We can make it work. Okay, I'm good with that too. But I think a lot of that is going to depend on Roman Wilson. So a lot of that is going to depend on him and what they can do. So Steeler Lee with the comment says, so many conflicting reports that he was in the doghouse, he was going rogue on routes, et cetera, et cetera. I just don't know if he's going to get another shot as long as Driftwood is playing QB. And that could be the thing, because one thing you got to remember, if Aaron Rodgers comes back, which I'm going to stop saying if Rodgers comes back, I'm going to stop saying that. Aaron Rodgers being the quarterback, okay, and I'm going to say that until otherwise. He's the only person that's going to be advocating for Roman Wilson. Like, there's no coaches that are around. Like, he's the guy that's going to be advocating for him. So that doesn't sound like a going to be a ringing endorsement from Aaron Rodgers when this guy literally, he basically got cut from the team and got moved to the practice squad, even though he wasn't on the practice squad. You know what I mean? Look, if you are on the team and you never get a helmet, yes, you're on the team. You get paid like you're on the team. But are you really? Because you're never going to play. I mean, it's one thing to just not get into the game. That's something separate. When they say, okay, we can only dress 47 players, and you're never one of those guys, and what, like I said, for the last 5 weeks, Roman Wilson wasn't one of those guys, you're not part of it. So, and that's easy for me on the outside, you know, a guy that never played in the National Football League to say that somebody's not really a part of it. But at the same time, if you're not going to get a helmet to be a part of the football team on Sunday, then those are just the facts, you know. And the only endorsement that you got is from a guy that basically said you weren't professional enough to be on the field. That's a problem. So it's an uphill battle for Roman Wilson. Saying all of that, where do we go from here? Now, Mr. Scrap Metal said McCarthy is going to need a smart wide receiver that can read defense and be on the same page as a QB. Option routes require chemistry and football IQ. That is one of the things that, look, it was a rumor that he wasn't getting the playbook down. I don't want to say that Roman Wilson wasn't a smart guy. And I don't think Mr. Scrap Metal is saying that either. He's just saying what's required. And maybe that is it. Maybe he had a hard time gathering an NFL playbook because it's not easy. You know, everybody thinks that, oh, well, NFL football players are just dumb guys. I'm like, no, they're not. You got to understand playbooks. you know? And you got to understand, you got to be able to read a defense and go from there, and understand like choice routes, what coverage that they're actually playing and where you should run and where the openings are going to be. Yes, he's got to figure all that out, and it's a new offense. Maybe it'll be better for him. Who knows? You don't know. Maybe, look, I say this all the time. Some guys mature faster than others. Maybe he just wasn't ready to play in the National Football League for the first 2 years. That could be the case. Maybe it was just super overwhelming for him. And you know what? A third year, maybe things slow down. Maybe he's never going to be a superstar anyway, but he could be a valuable receiver. It just took him a couple of years to get it figured out. That's fair. You got to allow for that leeway too. We don't necessarily like that because we would like to believe that every single player that comes in is ready to play. But how much more mature were you when you were 26 versus 23? There's a lot of us, myself included, when I was 23, I wasn't ready to have a real job. I had one, but that doesn't mean I was ready. I was still doing things, staying out till 4 o'clock in the morning, every night. But at 26, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I don't need to go out during the week. Maybe I can just stay home and, go out on the weekend when I don't have to work the next day. NFL player, it could be the same thing. So you got to allow for that. So I just sometimes, and myself, I'm a big person on it too. I always got to catch myself on saying, well, if he can't play at 23, then he must not be ready to play. Well, some guy matures later than others. It's okay if that happens. Sometimes we don't wait for him, and that could be true too. So that could be true too. Anthony Picano, what's going on, Anthony? Said what's really crazy is the last 2 drafts, both third-round picks, Roman Wilson and Caleb Johnson, have hardly seen the field. That is nuts. You're right. So, and the thing about it is, it's like, I didn't like the pick of Caleb Johnson. I was saying that before the Steelers even drafted him. You can go back and look. I'm sure some people will say, oh, well, hindsight's 2020. No, you can go back. I was saying that it looked like that Caleb Johnson was Najee Harris. And I didn't like Najee Harris on the Steelers either. I'm like, why are we drafting this guy? And then it was, we already had Kenneth Gainwell. So how many times do teams play 3 running backs? Like, you didn't bring I know that nobody thought Kenneth Gainwell was going to be the guy that he was last year. But how many times in an NFL game does, like, the starting running back get 18 carries, the backup gets 10, and then the third guy gets 8? Like, that doesn't happen often at all. And you brought in Gainwell. Well, you knew he was going to be the backup, and then you draft the third-round guy. I'm like, okay. And a guy that doesn't really fit what you're trying to do, whatever. It just didn't make sense. It really did. Not to me, it didn't. But it is what it is. But back to wide receiver 3, if it's not Roman Wilson, where do you go? Well, is it the draft? I've been on record. I think the Steelers are going to still take a wide receiver at 21. I know the smokescreen is left guard. And we got to get a left guard. And I'm a big proponent in solidifying the offensive line. You know that I am. I'm never going to change from that, by the way. But the Steelers do this all the time. Smoke screens and rumors and all these things, when at the end of the day, they end up doing what we thought they were going to do at the very beginning. Last year, we knew we needed a defensive lineman. Although, don't get me wrong, we knew we needed a wide receiver too, but it was like, we can't stop the run. We got to have a D lineman. We got to do this, yada, yada, yada. And all the speculation came out, and what did the Steelers do? They took a D lineman. Same thing I believe is going to happen this year. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, if certain people are available at that position, and we'll talk about that here in a minute, I think they could go a different route, but I still think they're going to draft a wide receiver at 21, and I think Omar Cooper is the guy. I've been saying it. I want that to be the guy. Now, because we keep seeing some of these things and wide receivers dropping, and, Jordan Tyson is out there. And the thing about Jordan Tyson is his injury history. And I think Jordan Tyson is the most talented wide receiver in the draft. But I watched Jordan Tyson for 2 years because I have a Big 12 Insiders channel. Jordan Tyson is injury prone, people. That's not who I want as my wide receiver, a guy that always gets hurt. And he always gets hurt. The last 2 years, that's been his thing. He constantly gets hurt. Well, is that what you want? A guy that's out there that can only play 10 games for you? It's not what I want. Appreciate the super chat, Drizzle. We appreciate you, man. Thanks for supporting the channel. So, yes, Ant Will says still got to be wide receiver at 1, and I think it's Cooper Jr. I do too. That's my thing. I like Jordan Tyson. I do. Like I said, I think he's the most talented receiver in the draft. But I don't need my number 21 pick. Didn't we? We just took that last year, didn't we? Look, we love Derek Harmon. Derek Harmon was great. How many games did Derek Harmon play? 10? I mean, I'm sorry. We don't need 2 picks back-to-back in the first round that are going to give you 10 games a year. That's not ideal. That is not ideal. So Big Craig says if Vega is there, he is the pick. I mean, we'll get into that, but I don't know. I think Cooper Jr., because, again, how long do you want Cooper Jr. to be on your football team? I think DK Metcalf is only going to be with the Steelers 1 more year. I really do. I don't think DK Metcalf is going to be on the Steelers past this season. I don't. I think they're going to trade him next year. And then what are you going to do? You're going to start over? No. You're not going to start over at wide receiver. And if you take Cooper Jr., you're not going to have to start over. So that's my whole point. I just don't believe you need to do that. So now here's a comment. I would like to see Roman Wilson become successful. He hasn't gotten a chance, and that's the sad part. It's a waste of a pick if we never give the guy a shot. Well, Kinser, I would disagree. He got a chance early in the season. It's not that Roman Wilson didn't get a chance. He was playing. Now, you could say maybe Aaron Rodgers didn't throw him the ball a lot, but he was out there. But even at that, what did you see Roman Wilson do that screams, yeah, man, this guy needs more opportunities? Now, there were some times where he was open and Rodgers went the other way, but there was nothing that Roman Wilson that just screamed, oh, man, I can't believe they're not playing him. Oh, man, I can't believe they're not throwing him the ball. They're crazy to not be giving him a helmet. Nobody was saying that last year. That's the thing we got to remember. When they took the helmet away from Roman Wilson, there wasn't people out there like, oh, man, I can't believe it. What are they doing? There wasn't any of that. It was, man, that sucks for Roman. Guess we got to move on. And for me, that's my only thing. It's man, I don't know. That's the only thing. So, Greenleaf, you got to make a good point, man. He said there are a lot of good receivers projected to go in around 2nd or 3rd round. I still think you need to go offensive line in the 1st. I'm never going to argue with that. Never going to argue with that. I just don't believe that's what the Steelers are going to do. That's all. It's not that I think right or wrong. I just don't believe that that's what they're going to do. So that's just my personal opinion. I don't believe that's what the Steelers are going to do. I think they're going to take a wide receiver in the first round for the reason that I laid out, because I don't think DK Metcalf is going to be on the football team a year from now. I think he's going to get traded, and the Steelers don't want to start over. But just what you said, there's a lot of good receivers in the second and third round that can be number one receivers on a football team. Like I think everybody gets the misconception that every single starter on your football team, regardless of position, has to be a first-round pick. I think I know I get caught up in it sometimes, and I know you guys do too. We get caught up in, well, if you weren't a first-round pick, you can't be a starter. Not only that, if you weren't a first-round pick, you can't be any good. Now, don't get me wrong, we start getting in the 5th and 6th and 7th round, that can become a little bit more difficult. But rounds 1 through 4, plenty of those guys are NFL starters. Plenty of them. You know? So, yeah, you can find it. And, but contrary to popular belief, there is nothing wrong with being a second-round pick. There is nothing wrong with that. It's almost like sometimes us fans, we look down on a guy because he was drafted in the second or third round. It's wild that we do that. And again, I'm not saying you. I'm saying we, because I'm a crazy fan too. I do it all the time. So sometimes we just need to be smacked back into reality and stop with the nonsense. Jizzled said, trade DK and a third for Garrett Wilson and a 6th. No way the Jets are going to do that, but I love the thought. But there's zero chance that the Jets are going to do that, though. If we miss on Vega, I think Hoffman will be fine. Hoffman's okay. Hoffman is a good, solid backup. He can give you some starter stuff. But I wouldn't want Hoffman to be my everyday left guard. I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that, Torsia. I like him. I like him a lot. But he's got holes in his game. And if we have an opportunity to get somebody that doesn't have those holes, I would rather do that. And there's plenty of guys in the draft that, like, for instance, Hoffman struggles against guys that can move, like in pass protection, guys that have swim techniques and on the edge, and they don't try to run through him, but if they try to get around him, Hoffman struggles. That's not necessarily the guy that I would want as my everyday starter. He can fill in. He can do a good job. He's good in the run game. But in the pass game, anybody that they get on the edge and they try to get around it with the edge and they're quick, he struggles against that. That's not the every down guy that I want. Not for me anyway. But let's move on, people. Let's move on. So speaking of left guard, speaking of offensive line, you know, the Steelers as a whole, where they're currently at, is what I would say the mock drafts right now with left guard, they're saying something different these days. A lot of people are talking about Vega, but here's the thing. A lot of these mock drafts that I have seen over the last 10 days, the Steelers aren't getting Vega. Now, you could look at Mel Kiper, and you can have Mel Kiper out there. But a lot of these mock drafts that I see now have Pregnon being the pick over Vega. And let me just say this. It's not over Vega. He's the pick because Vega's not available. There are several teams in front of the Pittsburgh Steelers that need interior offensive linemen, the Ravens being one of them, the Lions being another, that are going to be available to pick before the Steelers get there. I mean, so it's not that the Steelers are just going to pass on them. They're not. They wouldn't. But most people that are doing these mocks, I happen to be one of those people. I don't think Vega's going to be there. Now, I know Big G, his head explodes, because he's saying you got to move up to trade up to draft. And I'm like, man, you're giving up draft capital for a guard. No, no, that is not the move. Maybe if you moved up 1 or 2 spots, maybe. But if you have to move up 5 spots and give up a 3rd round pick for a left guard, I mean, for what? Just take the next guy. It's not like the next guy's not any good. Again, we get caught up in the internet where we think, okay, because this guy's good, the next guy's not. He's the 2nd-rated guard in the NFL draft. It's not like this guy is Swiss cheese. He's a good player. Maybe not as good at the top of the draft, but still a really good player. Oh, by the way, remember when David DeCastro was drafted? Do y'all remember? I think the year was 2012, where there was no way that people thought that DeCastro was going to fall to the Steelers, and he did. We didn't move up. He was just there. And that worked out. That worked out. And nobody thought that he wasn't the top guard in that draft. He wasn't, but they didn't think he was going to be there. Well, he was. So taking Pregnon at 21 because Vega isn't available is okay. It is okay. You got to remember. So it is okay. Pregnon is fine. Pregnon is really, really good. Because here's the thing that I like to keep a secret. 2 things can be true. They really can, ladies and gentlemen. 2 things can be true. One guy can be really good, so can another guy. So I just, those are what's kind of going on right now, is that people, well, we got to move up. We got to do this. No, we don't, man. No, we don't. So, no, we don't. Don't need to move up to take a guard. Torsha says that I hope we can land a left tackle or a left guard and a left tackle in the first 5 picks. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at it. I wouldn't be mad at it. So Johnny says Cooper Jr., then Fanu in the 2nd. There, first of all, I can stop you right there. There is no chance that Fanu is going to be in the 2nd round. There's a 0 possibility, 0, that is going to happen. He will not be available for the Steelers. So, he said, ironically, Pregnon is plan B. Stop it. Stop it right now. Jay Gordon with the super chat says, all we need is 4 stud rookies, 2 trench, and 2 skill. Okay, I wouldn't say that's all that the Steelers need. I wouldn't say that's all that they need, but they definitely need that. Definitely need that. But I wouldn't say that's all they need. Steelers got holes, man. I mean, for instance, 2 trenches and 2 skill players. What about an inside linebacker? Inside linebacker is not a skill position. Steelers need one of those. They do. They do. Because even if Patrick Queen, which it looks like he's going to be on the team this year, he ain't going to be on it next year. I can tell you that. So they're going to need a middle linebacker, and there's a few really good ones in this draft. So just keep your eye on that. That's what I would say. But Steeler Lee says, I think people just don't want Vega going to a rival like the Ravens. And you would be right. And here's the thing, Steeler Lee. Maybe you do move up in the draft to keep him from going to the Ravens. Maybe you do that. But to me, that's a mistake. Because whether we want to look at it and be honest about it or not, the Ravens are closer to winning a Super Bowl than the Steelers are, based on they have a quarterback and they have 2 good tackles, and they just need a center. Don't get me wrong. They let their center walk, which is wild to me. But you plug in a couple of pieces on the offensive line with a healthy Lamar Jackson, to me, that makes them closer than us to winning a Super Bowl. Now, do I think they're going to win one? Hell no. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So, but the problem is, again, whether we want to admit that or not, it's the truth. But just because it's the truth doesn't mean that that's going to happen. So I get the thought of wanting to do that, but the Steelers have too many holes to give up draft capital for an offensive guard. Like I said, guard is important. Your offensive line is important. But when you're talking about the pecking order of your football team, guard is down there a little bit, and you don't need to give up draft capital, especially a 3rd-round pick for an offensive guard when you'll have access to another really good one if you just stay right where you're at. That's the thing. Like, if it was, okay, if you don't move up to get this guard, the next best guard, his draft evaluation is the 4th round. Well, clearly you would want to move up. But when the next draft evaluation is into the 1st, early 2nd, and here you sit at 21, reach and take them at 21. Okay, fine. If that's the route you want to go. Or what I've been saying, and people are looking at me like I'm crazy, I say, you know what? If you want to do that, move up into the 2nd round. Take a 3rd-round pick. You got 3 of them. Move up into the 2nd round. Take a 3rd and a 6th and move back up into the 2nd round and draft somebody there. That's what I would say do. But don't give up, a 3rd and a 5th, which is what it's going to take to go to 14. That doesn't make sense to me. Not me. Maybe it does to other people, but not me. I would stick right where the Steelers are at in the 1st round, and go from there. Unless you could move back one spot. But here's the thing. The Rams, if they're going to take either Vega or Pregnant, I'm telling you right now, and the Rams are right behind us. I'm telling you that right this second. That the Rams are going offensive line in this draft. So be careful trying to move back thinking you're going to get that interior offensive lineman, the one you really want. But here's another thing, and I said it earlier. There's other guys that you can get. Mr. Rutledge is out there. I think he's a late 2nd, early 3rd round pick. He'll be available. And remember, I told you earlier, every starter doesn't have to be in the 1st round. So you're a 3rd round pick. Now, I know that the Steeler fans were a little gun shy on our 3rd round picks lately because the last couple of ones that we've had don't even play. So I get it. I totally get it. The last couple of 3rd round picks are like, well, wait a minute, Big B. We're going to take a guy in the 3rd round, and you think that guy's going to be the starter? What's our track record? I don't have a defense. I don't have a defense for that. There would be no track record. The track record would be bad the last couple of years, for sure. For sure, it would be bad. But that's an option. But as of right now, that's where we're kind of at, ladies and gentlemen. That's where we're at. Is that, the 3rd round, or not, well, the 3rd rounds haven't been very good, but Vega, I just don't think he's going to be available. I don't. So, I don't. And whether we like that or not, so that's just kind of a reality of where things are. So, that's where we are. Now here comes Jeff Wilson, says, most of you guys have no clue what's going on inside the Steelers facility. I'm guessing you do then, Jeff. Arthur Smith got everything he wanted last year in MVS and Adam Thielen. The problem with the Steelers, Mr. Smith. I don't know where you're going with. First, you insult me, telling me I have no idea what's going on in the facility. Okay, but then we say Arthur Smith got everything he wanted. So the problem with the Steelers is Mr. Smith. Well, okay, all right. It's always something with people, man. But it is what it is. KTB said, "Were you more excited or less excited about the draft if Tomlin was the coach?" I mean, that's a good question. Here's the thing. I moved on from Mike Tomlin. And I told you guys that. I was under the anticipation or the understanding or the belief, maybe that's the best word, that the thing is Mike Tomlin's way of trying to win football games is outdated, and he wouldn't change. That was never going to help us. Until Mike Tomlin decided to change on how to win football games, it was never going to get any better. And I said that. I had said it for over a year. I like Mike Tomlin. I respect Mike Tomlin. But the way Mike Tomlin wants to win football games is no longer possible in today's NFL. And he refuses to change. So I've moved on. So that's where I'm at with it. Super chat by Greg Saunders. At B, how did a D tackle and draft Joe Green change the team? Well, you're talking about something that happened, 60 years ago? 50 years ago? Football was different then. Everybody ran the football. So drafting Joe Green back then, that was totally different. But here's the thing. They still draft D linemen early in the NFL draft. They still do that. But you can't compare drafting Mean Joe way back when to today. The rules of football are different, and that the way that they play football is different. So you can't compare it. I mean, I would be shocked if there is a D tackle drafted number 1 overall ever again. I would be totally shocked. Totally shocked. I get what you're saying. I get it. But it's just different. It's just different. So, it's just different. So, Torsha says, I like Tomlin, but I'm more excited for this draft because it feels like a fresh start, and we don't really have a pattern to follow on McCarthy. We do as a head coach of the Steelers. We don't. Look, I shouldn't say even the biggest Tomlin supporters, but having a fresh start is fine if it actually changes. You know, if the philosophy on how to play football changes. If the philosophy on how to play football stays the same, then nothing is really going to be any different. Steelers were in the dark age on offense. We wouldn't push the ball down the middle of the field. You know, we refused to do that. You know, the way that we wanted to do stuff was just so archaic, it didn't make any sense. And that was coming from the head coach, and that's not hyperbole. That's not make-believe. The head coach said it in a press conference. He didn't like throwing the ball down the middle of the field because too many bad things happened. Because a component of keeping the football was not putting it in harm's way. I'm paraphrasing, but that's literally what the man said. Well, what are we supposed to do about that? So I'm with you. I am totally with you. Is that I'm looking forward to the fresh start, but you got to show me better than you can tell me. Because you know the one person that isn't fresh in all of this is Art Rooney II. He's still there. So if he gets out of the way and whatever, if he was the problem, which I think he was part of the problem, if he says, okay, let's do it a different way, fine. But if it's still going to be the same way, I don't know. So, Big Craig says Cooper in the first, Dunker in the second. I do like trade back in the second, or trying to trade back in the second. Yeah, I don't think you should trade back. I mean, the Steelers are already at 53. Steelers need access to better football players, more football players, not less. Not in my opinion. That's why I think you take a third. Because, again, I know I've said the Steelers, 12 draft picks, they're probably going to have more shots at the lottery. But here's the thing. At the end of the draft, the 6th and the 7th round picks, those picks, you're not really giving yourself a better opportunity at the lottery. Better opportunity at the lottery to hit on better football players comes higher. Why not take some of the 6th and 7th round picks to try to move up? That's what I would say. Give yourself a better opportunity at better football players. That's where I'm at with it. That's where I would say. So, we get to start training camp earlier as well because of having new coaches. Yes, we do. I think they give you an extra week in training camp because you have a new coach, which, I mean, is that good or is it bad? Veterans are going to hate it. I can tell you that. So, I don't know. And we'll see. We'll see. I mean, again, a guy like Cam Hayward is going to hate having an extra week of training camp. So, Miss Felicia said the middle of the field is a Tommy fear. Tomlin fear. I get you. So I want the Godfather just for the merch alone. That's the game we give up third to move up for. Yeah. That's what I think. That's why I think you got to take a third and move. Get another second-round pick. That's what I want. Get another second-round pick. However the Steelers can do that, I think they need to do that. Without giving up a first. Without giving up your first. Because if you tell me, well, the Steelers got another second-round pick, but they gave up their first to move all the way back to the second, I think that would be a catastrophe. I really do. I think it would be an absolute catastrophe. There's no reason to do that. No reason to do that. Steeler Lee with the super chat. Only thing I don't want with the new staff is the offense becomes so good, but the defense gets worse. Got to be a balance. Well, the defense was 28th in the league last year. If the defense gets worse than that, I don't know what to tell you. First of all, it can't go too far to be worse. I mean, but yeah, defense was 28th in the league. With all that money and all that spending, the defense was still 28th in the league. But that's why I say the Steelers, what we're trying to do, like the moves that we're making, the Steelers are trying to win now, man. It's that's where we're at with it. You don't trade for Michael Pittman Jr. and, make the moves that the Steelers did. You brought in Jamel Dean, Asante Samuel Jr. as a backup. Like the moves that the Steelers made, that is not a team that people are saying rebuild. I know there's so many Steeler fans out there that are saying, just throw Will Howard out there and give him a chance, and if he stinks, we'll have a high draft pick. I just want those people to just live in reality. That's all I'm asking. Live in reality. Your owner has told you he's not doing that. The moves that the Steelers have made are telling you they are not doing that. So this whole notion of just throwing away a year is not, it may happen because the Steelers stink. But it's not going to happen because of the moves that they're making. I'm sorry. That's just not reality. Man, we brought in this second wide receiver that we've desperately needed. We're beefing up our offensive line. We've got all these draft picks. We're doing all of this stuff all so we can tank for a quarterback. No. I mean, the thing is, you know what tanking looks like? Miami Dolphins. You want to know what just throwing Will Howard out there without him actually winning the job? It's the Miami Dolphins. That's what your team looks like when you have no intention on winning and you just want to see what somebody can do. The Miami Dolphins. You trade your you cut your quarterback. You didn't even trade him. You cut your quarterback. You cut your high-priced receiver. You trade your other high-priced receiver. You got nothing. you basically, you have nothing. That's what it looks like. Or the New York Jets. That's what tanking looks like. Does any of the moves that the Steelers made tell you that, yeah, this is going to be a throwaway year? None of that. None of that. So, none of that. And Parhead says, so why not? We have a good team to insert a young QB into what we did with Ben. Ben Roethlisberger was the 11th pick in the draft. I think people have that misconception that, because I've seen this online, and I'm sure you guys have too. It's like people are somehow trying to justify saying, well, Big Ben, nobody thought Big Ben was going to be any good. What? Ben Roethlisberger was the 11th pick in the draft. Do you think the Steelers drafted him saying, yeah, we have no clue about this guy? We don't know. You don't use your 11th pick on a flyer. My God. He had a ton of good talent, but they thought Ben Roethlisberger was going to be good. They didn't say, yeah, we took him 11th because he might work out, he might not. I don't know. We don't know. That's not what happened. And Ben got put in because Maddox got hurt. It worked out because he was better than Maddox. But Lord have mercy. We can't just, and people are really trying to justify it by saying that, well, we just threw Big Ben out there. No, we didn't. He wasn't the starter. He got put in because somebody got hurt. But again, nobody was saying that we don't know if Ben can be any good. You don't take a guy at 11 hoping that he can be good. You're hoping that it turned out to be exactly what it was, a Hall of Fame quarterback. When you take somebody at 11, you're not just, we'll just throw him out there and hope that he can play. No, no. That's not what you do with the 11th pick. You are wanting him to be good. You are wanting him to be good. You are thinking he's going to be good. So, yes, people are rewriting the history of Ben. I don't know why people, well, I do know why people are doing that. Because they want to say that Big Ben and Will Howard are the same. So that's why they're trying to rewrite what Ben Roethlisberger was. That's literally why they're trying to do it. And I don't know why, though. I mean, it's okay to say that the Steelers drafted him at 11 because they thought he was going to be really good. Again, NFL was different back then. Back in those days, you didn't just draft a guy and immediately put him into the starting lineup. That's not how it worked. It was okay if a guy sat for a couple years and then you put him in and then he played. That was okay then. These days, they don't want you to do that. They want a guy to be immediately ready. So, Mac the Guru with the super chat. He said, early statement, but I can finally have hope. Be excited for the game on Sundays. You're right. If the offense is different, we absolutely can. So, we absolutely can. I believe it. I believe it. So, Torsia says Eli's going to get in. Yeah. Hell, I heard something this weekend, and they were talking about people making the Hall of Fame. There's talk that Big Ben won't even get in on the first chance. I think that would be crazy because Drew Brees is going to be on the ballot and Adrian Peterson's going to be on the ballot. I'm like, so? So what? Great. They can get in too. But if you're trying to tell me that Big Ben's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, now I will say this. If they take in off the field stuff, then Ben's going to wait for a minute. I'll just say that. And it seems like they are starting to take in this off the field stuff. If they do, Big Ben's going to have to wait. They're going to make him wait. But if it's strictly about football, then Big Ben should get in immediately. Immediately. So, Jeff said Eli beat Tom in 2 Super Bowls. And then go look at the rest of Eli's career. He had 2 good Super Bowl runs. Then go look at the rest of Eli's career. I mean, you can't take away his 2 Super Bowls. You can't do that. So don't do that. But then just put it with the rest of it. It's not even close to what Big Ben did. Not even remotely close. So, Jay Gordon says, I don't care how Khan does it. He needs us to get a wide receiver, nose tackle, left guard, DB. In this draft, I'm assuming. That can start out in this draft. I hope a great nose tackle fixes 26-year-old Patrick Queen. I hope the system fixes Patrick Queen, but we'll see. We'll see. So, that is a good point, Felicia, is that Patrick Mahomes didn't start with the Chiefs when he got drafted. No, he did not. And I said that all the time. If Patrick Mahomes could sit a year, then everybody can sit a year. Jesus. I mean, literally, Patrick Mahomes didn't start when he got drafted. Well, they had a really good team. Okay, they did. But he didn't start. If he can sit for a year, everybody can sit for a year. Literally everybody. I don't care who you are. If Patrick Mahomes can come in and be the backup quarterback for a season, then every quarterback drafted can come in and be the backup. Every one of them. And I don't care who the starting quarterback, it was Alex Smith. Alex Smith was fine, but what did they immediately do? Patrick Mahomes, he sat for a year. He's ready. They traded Alex Smith. So everybody can do it. Everybody can do it. DCTV, what's going on, man? He said, is it possible we draft Denzel in the first since he's the only one to come in for a visit? I mean, it's possible. Anything is possible. Yeah, it's definitely possible. And maybe that is the pick. I mean, because wasn't that the early thoughts that it was Denzel Boston was going to be the guy? And now we moved on, and we moved here, and we moved there. But remember what I said earlier. If the Steelers are getting rid of DK Metcalf next year and they're going to trade him, Denzel Boston would be the ideal fit to take his place. Big body, better route runner. You know, he would be the guy that you would say, okay, he can take DK Metcalf's place. So sometimes they tell us without telling us. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they tell us without telling us. Is that if you're going to trade DK Metcalf, the perfect replacement would be Denzel Boston. Just something to keep your eyes and your ears on. So keep your eyes and your ears on that. Jordan Love didn't start when he was drafted. No, he didn't. Fading velocity. No, he didn't. No, he did not. So, but we'll see. We will see. Ooh, Milkman or Mike says 2 Super Bowls does not guarantee the Hall. Just ask Jim Plunkett. No, it don't. No, it does not. No, it does not. No, Sam, we haven't announced the draft day party yet. We're still trying to get all of that stuff finalized. So I apologize. No, we haven't got it yet. We're still working on the details. But we will definitely let you know here in the coming weeks to try to get it finalized. We're doing our best. Maybe it comes to fruition. Maybe it doesn't. We'll see. We will see. So, Fresh West says draft 2 top receivers in this draft. I you know me, I think the Steelers need to come out of it with 3, but 2 for sure. 2 for sure. Absolutely. Diamonds, who do you think is better, Boston or Cooper? Cooper. Cooper's better, but Boston might fit what the Steelers want to do better. But I really like Omar Cooper Jr. I do. I like him better. And it's not that I don't like Boston. Again, 2 things can be true. That's just where I'm at with it. Torsha likes Cooper. Greenleaf likes Boston. Yeah, I don't think you go wrong with either one. I don't. So sometimes it just comes down to preference. That's all. So I'm ready to see us actually get first downs on first and second down. Instead of always going to third down, yeah. Instead of it always being 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5, yeah. I would absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. So, Miss Felicia says, I'm not falling for this hype because the Steelers was I Malik, and we didn't get him. We ended up with Kenny. I mean, the difference, that was a horrific NFL draft for quarterbacks. I mean, how many drafts have you seen where a quarterback goes 1 or goes in the first round, goes at number 20, and then another one doesn't even get taken until the 3rd round? I mean, that was a epic bad quarterback draft. So, just epic. Epic. Said, Big B, do the Steelers have their eyes on 2 players from Ohio? Tate and one other player, I forget his name. Are you running wrong? I mean, well, Robert, I'm sure they got their eyes on plenty of guys from Ohio State. They had a really good football team. So I think they have plenty. But the Steelers have their eyes on a lot of people. They have their eyes on a lot of people. So, a lot of people. The truth says Cooper was wide receiver number 2. Boston was wide receiver number 1. That is true, but that was also preference from the quarterback. If you ask ability, Cooper was better than Surratt at Indiana. I mean, so there's that. There's that. And who else was Boston playing with in Washington? There's a difference. What player falls that you're willing to move up a few spots to take? Rutledge out of Georgia Tech. Guard. That's who I'd be willing. Because if he falls, I think he's going to fall to the 3rd round. I'd move up to take him in the 3rd round. I would do that. But see, that's the thing. You're in the 3rd round. You're not going to have to give up a 3rd round pick to get him. It'd be like a 6th to move up or a 5th. Okay, I'll do that. I would do that. So, I'll do that. All right, people. I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you very much. That's what I got for you today. We will be back tomorrow, same time, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, with more on Steelers Almighty. Appreciate you guys getting up with this morning. Had a lot of fun. Gonna have some more. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to you soon. And aloha.